make sure that you're in degrees. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to ask. If you're using your cell phone, I don't care if you use your cell phone, go to Desmos now. So go here. And then on the top right, so make sure that it's in degrees. So do that first, okay? So do that. Radians is just a different unit of measure. That's just like if you have feet, if you have meters, but for this class, you're going to be in degrees. Do a quick test to make sure that you're correct. If you type in sine, and let's say that I put 30 degrees, I think it's 0.5. Yeah, it should be 0.5. If you ever want to do a test, if you do sine 30, it is always 0.5. That is a quick test. If you don't get that, make sure you are in degrees. All right. Again, I don't care if you use your phone or you use your Desmos, but we're going to do that. Okay. So when we first did trig back in the day, we spent about 3 days going over what we're going to do today in 1 day. We're not doing a lot, but it's because the first time you see it, we go in baby steps. Today we kind of jump right into it. This should all look familiar to you in the sense at least, hey, I've seen sine, cosine, and tangent. I've seen that before. So just to kind of review, you always had to label your triangle. That was like the most important part that you had to do. Before we start, we're going to do a lot of Greek letters this semester. We're going to start, not only do we use alphabet, we're going to do Greek. This is theta. This is talking about the angle. So, kind of looking at this triangle right here, which one is your hypotenuse? R, right? So I want you guys to label and then put an HP or HYP, that's going to be your hypotenuse. When I say the word adjacent, adjacent means next to, like the person next to you. So if somebody's sitting next to you, that person is adjacent to you, that's next to. So base to this angle, would you say this side is adjacent or opposite to this angle? That's adjacent, right? So I want you to put an ADJ for adjacent. This would be your opposite. This is the most basic, but the most important is labeling the triangle correctly. So based on this angle here, this would now be your adjacent, opposite, this is your hypotenuse. If I switch and I talk about this angle here, this is still your hypotenuse. However, if this is where the angle's at now, this is now your opposite, and this is your adjacent, correct? Yeah. Right. So moving on. So that's the basic. If you feel good about that, you're off to a good start. So that's kind of where this comes in. So if you guys remember when we did sine, cosine, tangent, they were all labeled certain sides. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine is going to be your opposite over adjacent ratio. What I want you to do is go through this triangle here, and I want you to label all 3 sides with the letters H, O, and A. Put those in the right spot. So when we do triangles, I'm always going to refer to this side right here as your horizontal. This is going to be your vertical. So let's start off with this here. Would this be your adjacent, opposite, or hypotenuse? Adjacent. Is everybody cool with that? So this is going to be your adjacent. And so this right here is going to represent your opposite. So your vertical in this case here would be your opposite. Then the hypotenuse is always your hypotenuse. Now, it's kind of, when I see some of my students, like their period, I'm teaching and I'm kind of going around, I can tell who are my students or who were my students in geometry and who weren't. It doesn't mean that I was a good teacher or anything like that, but I know I stress this like a lot. So does this all seem familiar to you a little bit? Okay, very good. Now, again, so this is vertical. Now, if this was my angle here, this now becomes opposite and this is adjacent. Is everybody cool with that? Very nice. Let's move on. We're only going to do 3 examples today, and we're good to go. So on this one here, we're going to solve for the entire triangle, not just for X or Y or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to label first. We use uppercase letters for angles. This is angle A, this is angle C, this is angle B. So we use the angle opposite to the side to label it, and we use a lowercase letter. How many of you would still be sleeping right now? Very nice. Okay. So I know it's a challenge for you to listen to Mr. Lopez on the way back. So because of this right here, this is going to be lowercase b, because this is the side opposite to that angle. If I use the same logic, should this be lowercase a or lowercase c? A. Good job. So this is going to be your lower. Don't confuse that with adjacent. That just means that's side A. So now if I look at this right here, this is going to obviously have to be lowercase c. Is everybody with me so far? All right, very good. So off to the side, we're missing three things. I'm going to make a table for angles. Not a table, but a list. Then I'm going to look for, okay, so I'm also missing some sides. When it comes to angles, I only need to find angle A. When it comes to sides, I need to find just two. I need to find A and I need to find B. Just like we did before we start using any type of trigonometry, I want you guys to go around the triangle and start labeling it based on this angle here. What is your hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite? Do that real quick. I would, if you want to use ADJ, so you don't confuse it with that A, use ADJ. So the bottom is what? Adjacent, very good. The vertical in this case would be opposite. I know it sounds redundant. Your hypotenuse is going to be your hypotenuse, C, right? Okay. You guys tell me what you guys want to find first. Do you want to find your angle, AB or AB? Hey, let's do the angle first. Let's do the easiest first. So real quick, just review from geometry. What did the three angles add up to? 180. But when I did this back in geometry, we made it a little simpler. These three add up to 180, but in a right triangle, what do these two angles always add up to? 90. So to find this angle, just do 90 minus 25. That gives you angle A. That's it. So that means that angle A, you're just going to do 90 minus 25. Why did I write it like that? So that means that angle A would be 65. Correct me if I'm wrong. So just to summarize, anytime you know one of these angles, to find the other acute angle, just do 90 minus that angle. Easy. Done. You know, guys, in Trig, this is actually your last unit in Trig, but I make it the first unit. So if you think this is easy, it's going to be an easy semester. If you didn't like the algebra part, this is a clean slate. We're very little solving today. Hardly any ever. It's just mostly like sine, cosine, tangent. Rules. It's going to be a lot of rules. It will be a little bit harder for y'all because you guys are advanced. I don't know why I did this. I'm glad the video cannot see that. You guys are advanced. We don't need this. Okay. That means you're not advanced. My bad. I apologize. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, so moving on, let's look for A first. So if I'm looking for A, I need this right here, and I need to use the side they gave me. So I'm going to focus on this part of the triangle. If I'm only focusing on this side of the triangle, look on the first page. Do you think we're going to use sine, cosine, tangent? Cosine. Do y'all see why? Very good. Because we're not using this right here. We're not looking for opposite. We're only involving adjacent. So this is the way you write it. One thing that I forgot to do, and I want you to write this off to the side, your angle will always be theta. I want you to put theta right there. That's called theta. So when you write this, you're going to put cosine. We're looking for A. After cosine, you put theta, which is the angle, which is going to be 25 degrees, equals. So you always put your degree after the sine, cosine, or tan. Then we're going to do adjacent, which is unknown. I'm going to put a little a. My hypotenuse is what? 14. So put a 14. Yay, you remembered. No. Yeah. Oh, okay. How many of you are in physics? How many of you dropped physics? You're in physics? So you're in physics. The rest of you, I'm assuming you're not in physics? No physics? I heard it's hard. Okay, so Trinity said to multiply. I'm not going to dumb it down like that. As you do the lesson, I will say, but you could do it like that. You could do it like that. If you already know the shortcut, like here, if the letter's on top, you just multiply. But I'm going to teach it the right way. Then you can take the shortcut when you're comfortable and you understand it, okay? We're going to do a proportion like we did at day one. You're going to butterfly it because shortcuts don't work if you don't understand it. So I'd rather teach it right the first time. You're going to cross multiply, butterfly those. So it's going to be 14 times cosine 25. Then a times 1 is just a. So to get our answer, it's just this right here. In short, if your letter's on top, you're always going to multiply. Go to Desmos, and let's all do a test run, whether you're using your phone, your Chromebook, whatever it is you're using. Go ahead and do 14. You can type the word cosine. You don't have to like pull it up. It's up to you. Then you do 25. There's your answer. Your answer should make sense. Let's say you were taking the test and you were in radians. Now in this case it doesn't show you, but radians sometimes will give you funky answers like negatives or really big or small numbers. So always double check that you're in the right thing. So let's round 2 decimal places. So we'll say this is about 12.69-ish as your unit. So this would be A is 12.69. We're going to fill it up here. Boom, we already got most of the thing filled out. We just need to find B. To find B, I still want to use the 14 because I know that that's what's given to me. What if this was wrong? What if your answer was wrong? And then you use this number to get this answer, you're going to get 2 answers wrong. So I'm going to use the 14 and the 25 because I know that at least that covers not making 2 mistakes. So we're going to use this time, focus on finding B. Are we still using cosine? What are we using? Sine, because we are now using opposite and hypotenuse. So then we're going to do, so off to the side, we're going to do B. We're going to do sine 25 equals B over 14. We've done one like this already where the B's on, the letters on top, we multiply. So in Desmos, again, your proportion will never fail. So B is equal to 14 times whatever sine 25 is. Type that in. Round. You guys tell me what you get. 5.9-ish. It is, right, 5.92? Is that what you guys got? Everybody else got that? Very good. Excellent. Everybody okay? You got a little refresher from 2 years ago, and by listening to feedback, it sounds like you guys are okay so far. The crying will start next week. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. It's Trig. Get used to sine cosine. We'll be doing it for probably till April. That's how long we're going to be doing sine cosine. You're like, what the? This is going on. All right, so we completely solved that triangle. Let's go to page 2. All right. So again, I'm doing what we did probably in 4 days, actually, now that I think about it. We're doing it all in one day. So let's look at number 2. If Mr. Lopez is standing right here, and I'm looking at the plane, I have to, if I look straight ahead, it's 0 degrees. But as soon as I start to looking up, my head elevates. So it's the angle of elevation. This right here represents your angle of elevation, always. Always draw your triangles like this. If they don't give you a triangle, always draw them something like that. Do not get fancy and start drawing them like this. Don't do that. Just draw them, either draw them like this or draw them like this. Pick one, but make them flat, if that makes any sense. All right. The pilot, is he looking up or is he looking down at me? Down. So he's making an angle of depression when he's looking at, well, I would be depressed. You're looking at me. I mean, come on. I'm just kidding. That was not. Why so sad? No. So he's looking down at me. He's making an angle of depression. His 0 angle is straight across. The angle of depression is right here. So, in geometry, do you guys remember alternate interior angles? Yeah. These two angles are the same. So I'm going to dumb this down for you. This is your angle of depression. This is your angle of elevation. But guess what? They're the same. For both of us, the angles are the same. So, in shortcut, whenever, I don't care if you're doing a depression problem or you're doing an elevation problem, you always put your elevation down here and always put your depression right there. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's a depression problem or an elevation problem. You will get it right 100% of the time when you put your elevation and depression at the bottom. So don't even ever mess with this angle right here. Don't. And when I gave you all this test, because you were new to it, some of you would put the angle up here for depression. Don't ever do that. This is different. Cool beans. Let's move on. I want you to take about a minute. I want you to read that to yourselves. I want you to label with the numbers that they gave you. Go ahead and label that picture. I'm going to go for it. So let's check your answers. Did you put the 5 degrees by me, or did you put the 5 degrees by the pilot? It should be by the stop sign. Everybody put the, don't ever, I will beat you up. Straight up, I'm kidding, I will not do that. I'm getting violent, sorry. I had a good break, it wasn't that bad. I don't know why I'm getting violent. Okay. So I was just checking to see if anybody put it up here. Good, thank you if you did it, awesome. Now, where did you put the 5900? Did you put it on the horizontal, vertical, or the hypotenuse? This one right here, this is talking about altimeter. Anytime they give you anything with altitude, it is your height. The vertical is always your height. So the key to these problems is dissecting the words. The 5900 goes here. A lot of you will do the trigonometry right. It's going to be the labeling that's going to be the key. So this one, this was the altimeter. Yeah, so altimeter's height. Okay. How far is it from the base of the Sears Tower to the end of the runway? Is X our unknown that we're looking for? Would that be the horizontal or is that the hypotenuse? Horizontal. The key word to me is base and runway. So it wants this right here. Everybody cool? Yeah. Okay, so this is your, you can put an X, you can put a happy face, you put whatever you want. So now we're gonna label a triangle. You'll get plenty of practice today working with triangles. Welcome back. I know you hate me, but it's all right. So, what is this right here relative to this angle? Is this opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. So let's label that. The X would be your adjacent. If I'm looking for X, look at the first page. Are we using sine, cosine, tangent? Tan. Yes? The reason we're using tangent is because we're using the opposite. We're looking for adjacent. We're not even messing with the hypotenuse at all. Opposite and adjacent are or is your tan. There are 3 things you have to do today. Label correctly, determine which trig function to use, and the last thing you have to do is to execute correctly. All right, so moving on. So this would be tangent 5 degrees equals opposite 5900 over x. I'm going to stop right here, absorb it. How is the setup of this one different when I look at the variable? It's on the bottom. You already got, you know where I'm going. And I think Trinity or physics people will tell me, if the variable's on the bottom, what do? You don't multiply. Divide. You divide. Yes. But I can do the algebra to show you why. If I do butterfly, that's just 5900 times 1 is 5900. Tangent of 5 degrees times x is x times tangent 5 degrees. Notice how if I'm solving this, you're having to divide this over here to get x. Again, if you're in physics or once you get the shortcut, you can skip this, but I know some of you like to do the algebra. This is what you type into Desmos. In shortcut, if your variable's on the bottom, you just switch these two, switch them. They switch spots. You just do 5900 divided by 10.5. Remember 3 parts: labeling, setting up, executing. If you can do those 3 things, you are golden. If you get a big number, you're doing it right. And I'm going to explain why. I already forgot.
67,000.
Yeah. So x is 67,400? 437? Point? 30-ish? Okay. This would be feet? Yeah. And if you if you still have it on your calculator and you switch to radians, your answer would be completely funky. You can tell when you're in radians. Like your answers just don't make sense. The reason this makes sense, what is the angle by the pilot? What would it be? 85-ish, would you guys agree?
Yeah.
It's 85. The size of the angle determines how big the side is. If this is 5 degrees and this is 5900, this angle is way bigger, which means this side should be way, way, way bigger. The bigger the angle, the bigger its opposite side is. So it should make sense that that's why it blew up. So it makes sense. All right. Guys, I want you to draw a picture for number 3. Remember how I told you how to draw the triangles? Draw it. You got it. You're the best around. And guys, when you draw your triangles, please make them right triangles. I'm going to be grumpier and older and just more like, I want you to do better. I see a lot of my 3rd period, they would draw them like that. A lot of students draw them like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's going to confuse you. Please actually make an effort to draw right triangles. Don't be like, make one look like 90 degrees. I think it'll help you. You should have drawn it like this, or you should have drawn it this way. Either way is okay. I don't care. All right. So let's label the triangle. Let's see if you did it right. We still have 10 minutes, right? Okay. Where do I put the 300? Vertical, horizontal, hypotenuse? Vertical? Yeah. It's your vertical. It's your height of the building. This is 300 feet. Remember, the key to these problems is labeling it right. 50 feet, the shadow is 50 feet long, horizontal or hypotenuse? Shadows are always typically horizontal. This is 50 feet. Because shadows will be on the floor, typically. This problem is asking for the angle. So do you want to put the angle down below or down at the top? You will put it, remember, it's asking for this angle here. Always put it at the bottom. Don't ever, I don't care if it's depression. I don't care if it's elevation. You always put it here. There we go. Label your triangle. What is this? This is opposite to this angle. This is OPP. That's a song, right? This is adjacent. I was nothing. Sorry, Mrs. I'm gonna just stick to being a teacher. Okay. These recordings are gonna be terrible. Oh, didn't I record 7th period all the time last year? Not good. I had to erase some of them. One of them was about a gun, which got deleted by YouTube. It wasn't even bad. Okay. So what trig function are you visualizing that you're going to use based on your sides?
What?
Tan? Tangent. So here's the difference. This one is looking for an angle, so theta is unknown. Does anyone by any chance, someone actually remembered in 3rd period, what do you type into the, how is it different when you're looking for an angle? I know my physics people probably know. You don't solve it, you just type it into the calculator, but you make a small adjustment. Anyone remember? I take that as a no. That's okay. There's only like 5 people in here. It is Marcus Troy, remember, but he might be in physics. I don't know. So when you're looking for an angle, you're going to use the inverse. You're going to use the -1. It just means it undoes it. So whenever you look for an angle, this is what you're going to type into Desmos. You're going to do tan, -1. You do to the power of -1. In parentheses, you're going to do, 50. Should be 50. 300 over 50. Type that into the calculator. Make sure you're in degrees. It's going to give you an angle approximately. Your angle should be between 0 and 90. If you ever get anything that's like weird, you know you did it wrong. What'd you guys get? 80-ish? 80.54?
Yeah.
So theta is going to be 80.54 degrees. That's going to be your answer. I just realized is this video not going to get canceled because I said that one word.
What one beta?
Nope. I can't. It's not a bad word. But last year in 7th period, I was telling a story about a G _ UN. It was just that I thought I was going to get robbed. And it wasn't even like a bad story. And YouTube, I think, deleted it. They delete just the story about that. And it was just, it was 7th period. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's it. That is your lesson for today. You do have an assignment. Here's the good news. I think we'll have school on Friday. I could be. I don't mean to like crush your spirits, but I think we'll have school. But if we don't, but I'm gonna give you Friday as a work day. But I'm gonna give you your assignment today. You're doing 1 through 9 on pages. I know. Pages 3 and 4, 5, 6. Holy, yeah, yikes. 3 through 6. Welcome. Sorry. You could do it. I want everybody to do 1 through 5 today before you leave. 1 through 5. 1 through 5 before flex.
I didn't get banned on the. I didn't either.
Oh, stop recording.